start with Glenn Campbell.
First Minister, you stood in this room 6 years ago on the morning after the Brexit vote and said an independence referendum was highly likely. Is that any more believable today than it was then? And to Patrick Harvie, do you now share the First Minister's vision to use independence to try and grow the economy, or are you and your Green colleagues still against economic growth?
I'll briefly take that. First of all, the last 6 years have been probably the most tumultuous the country, as Scotland, the UK, the world has lived through, not least a global pandemic that has now persisted for more than 2 years, although thankfully, I hope, we are now on the other side of the acute phase of that. So circumstances over the past 6 years have changed and have been difficult. I firmly believe we will have an independence referendum. I believe people will have that choice. I am setting out today the first in what will be a very substantial argument for independence and very substantial exposition of how we make the journey from a majority of people opting for that and becoming independent. I have indicated the issues that we are navigating, and I'm being candid about the issues we are navigating in order to secure that process when we are up against a UK government that has no respect whatsoever for democracy. But I am intent on navigating a way through that. And as I said, I will set out more on that in the very near future. I'll hand over to Patrick now. All I would say in the generality here is, and I hope I'm not saying anything too controversial right now, an independent Scotland will not be a one-party state, whether I like it or not. And I should say I do like the fact that it will not be a one-party state. An independent Scotland will be a democracy, and people will put forward different policies, different views, different approaches to the governance of Scotland in elections in an independent country. That is the essence of democracy. So the fact Patrick and I, while we agree on many, many things and have a partnership agreement right now underpinning the Scottish Government, the fact that we disagree on some things actually makes the case for vibrant democracy in Scotland. It does not in any way detract from that case. Patrick.
Yeah, I think one of the ways in which Scotland is already like normal European countries is that you have political parties willing to sit down, acknowledge their differences, talk about how to resolve those differences, and work together on the common ground. The issue of economic growth is excluded from the cooperation agreement that we have between the Greens and the Scottish Government. That's because Greens around the world challenge the idea that everlasting economic growth is sustainable or that it measures people's well-being. But Scotland's already taking really significant steps toward creating and defining what a well-being economy looks like. And I've got no doubt that will continue. I think the point about this paper is, though, the evidence in here shows that whichever part of the political spectrum you're on, whatever your economic priorities, the status quo isn't working. It isn't working in terms of productivity or GDP. It isn't working in terms of social equity and fairness. And it's not working environmentally either.